This might be a weird movie, but I'm going to try to make it anyway. What am I going to try to do in this movie? Well, there are plenty of people out there who claim they are feminists, and they do not understand why people who are not feminists look at them funnily when they say they are feminists. They themselves even have resorted to calling it the F word, and they didn't mean fuck, they meant feminist. So somewhere in their heart of hearts, I assume they recognize the folly of calling themselves a feminist and why it is a segregatory hate movement. But maybe they don't recognize it. Maybe they don't realize it. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to make a small movie trying to explain it. And I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do it yet. I want to maybe say stuff myself, or maybe I let some outspoken feminist do the talking from time to time. Let's see where we get. And I'm going to start with what one of the outspoken feminists did. This is a small recognition of Clementine Ford, an Australian activist, feminist activist, that got a man fired from his job because he disagreed with her and called her a slut. And that alone was enough for her to contact his employee to try and get him fired. And unfortunately, as so often we've seen with social justice warriors, people tend to fear them and do as they ask. So this man got fired. This is the world we live in. Call a feminist slut, and it may cause you to lose your job. This is what feminism does. Now, I'm pretty sure that the no true Scotsman's fallacy will be applied many a time, and I'm pretty sure that this will be the first one, because of course no true feminist will get a man fired just because he insults her, does she? Well, maybe. This one did, however. And you can look it up. It's online. Just Google Clementine Ford, got hit with abuse after she reported a man for calling her a slut, or Clementine Ford got someone fired. This will probably get you to a number of pages that will have reported on this. So imagine this. You call me a name, therefore I'll make sure you lose your job. Because you insulting me is worse than you feeding your kids. This is feminism for you. And in a world where most families are single payer families, single earner families, Madame Ford, in her wisdom, is thinking that it's okay to have a woman and kids without Brad because fuck the guy, he called her a slut. Now, I'm not sure whether the guy that got fired actually had a family, don't get me wrong. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. I didn't look into it this far. But it is possible. And I'm pretty sure Madame Ford didn't look into it either. And I will continue showing other things, but this one opened it up for me. Basically, why do people hate feminists? Because if you do not agree with them, they'll get you fired for calling them a cunt. And the worst part is, cunt is a pretty normal word in Australia. Okay, it's not a common word. It's not what directors will call each other, but it's not that big an insult either, or at least not as far as I know. Anyway, this is what you're saying, feminists. This is what you approve of. The next named feminist I am going to put under the magnifying glass is going to be Julie Bindle. Sorry for the dramatic pause. I just needed to breathe a little bit. The problem with Julie Bindle is that she's not really as obviously radical as our previous contestant, Clementine Ford. But at the same time, Julie Bindle is eh, pretty much an extremist. She is reported for talking about how it would be a good idea to make camps where men could live in, and they would have cars and bikes and whatnot, anything to have a good time. Obviously, they will not have weapons, and obviously, they will not have porn, and obviously, it's a camp, so there will be guards making sure that they stay inside. But if mothers want to meet their sons or lovers want to meet each other, then a woman can go to the camp and collect him like a book and then bring him back when she's done with him. Now, obviously, this is pretty extreme. And in a later moment, when she was talking together with Milo Yiannopoulos on a college tour, I think it was, she did come back on it and saying, yeah, but it was all a joke. And you know what? I'm completely willing to believe it was all a joke. Just like men are not allowed to make certain jokes, though, I'm wondering if this should be true for women too. The thing is, when men make jokes, for example, about rape culture, it is wrong. It is terrible. They should be hanged for it by the nuts. And oh my god, if you ever dare calling a feminist a cunt, you will lose your job. But why is it okay to make jokes about concentration camps? Because we have had those in the history of the world. And there are certain cultures where they still have more or less concentration camp style societies. This is not a joke. And if it is a joke, it's not a funny one. People will tend to get aggravated over jokes like this. When you say you're a feminist, you identify with Julie Bindle. Of course, you can say, yeah, but she's not a true feminist, a true Scotsman thingy again. But by the end of this movie, you would have said that so many times that maybe you should ask yourself whether you are a true feminist. But let's continue. The next feminist I'm going to name is going to be Marilyn French. She recently died in 2009. I do not want to talk too much ill about the recently deceased, so I won't. Marilyn French is a writer, was a writer, and she wrote a lot of books. And in one of her books, she basically had the primary character say, all men are rapists. Is this a problem? Well, yes, because it became one of the most common used phrases by feminist activists. And it's based on a character in a book. That's a problem. It really is. Once she herself acknowledges that she is an angry writer and it shouldn't have been as strong a statement as it was. She has been going on the record saying that I've always liked men very much. I'm going to believe that. The fact remains, though, that all men are rapists is something we have to think ahead about. And we have to thank her for it. So I'm not going to attack her on the books she has written. I'm not going to attack her on her merits, and I'm not going to attack her as a person. I am, however, going to paraphrase that one sentence again. All men are rapists. And it's from the book The Woman's Room, as far as I remember right. Yeah, That's the feminist you are following. This is what feminism says. All men are rapists. Think about that for a second. The next feminist I would like to point out is Tahira, yeah, Tahira Hosseini. She is a relatively well-known New York activist and feminist and artist who's been gathering lots of money to further some of her own goals, and which is kind of funny because one of the things she is pushing forward is the fact that feminism and Islam are very compatible, even though the Quran clearly states it is not. But this is the same woman that has said the following: any woman vile enough to vote for the Islamophobic and sexist white supremacist that is Donald Trump probably need to be raped before changing their mind. I will repeat that. Any woman vile enough to vote for the Islamophobic and sexist white supremacist that is Donald Trump probably needs to be raped before changing their mind. Yes, these are the words of feminist Tahira Husseini. These are the women feminism is about. When you say I'm a feminist, you align yourself with people like this. Are you really sure? The next strong feminist I'm going to quote or going to use some from her is going to be Gloria Steinem. Now, I won't say that everything this woman has said is bad, nor any of the previous ones. I mean, they might have had some good ideas as well. But Gloria Steinem is famous for coining the phrase, a woman needs a man like a fish needs a bicycle. And another thing is, a woman who chooses to behave like a full human should be warned that the armies of the status quo will treat her as something of a dirty joke. That's their natural and first weapon. She will need her sisterhood. So basically, as a woman, if you want to behave like a human, you need your sisters to rely on. It's not that you as a person don't count, but you as a person don't count. This is Gloria Steinem. It's kind of weird that the woman that says monotheism makes me grouchy. I don't trust any religion that makes God look like one of the ruling class. I guess I'm a pagan or an animist. Has no problem in believing in something called the patriarchy, which is the devil to the god of feminism. It doesn't make sense. So, yeah, she has said a lot of weird stuff. And these are the women we follow. Now, I won't say that she only says weird stuff. I mean, she has made some nice points as well. I mean, it's not as if she's an idiot. But she's not about the equality for women. She's about the supremacy of women, but only the women that follow feminism, because you need each other. So if a woman succeeds without the help of feminism, Gloria Steinem is one of the very clear feminists out there that do not believe that a woman could even do it, but if she did, she's probably not a real woman. Gloria Steinem's thoughts are why Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher very clearly exclaimed, everything I achieved despite feminism. Gloria Steinem talks of the weakness of women that can only become strength if they are organized in feminism. She doesn't recognize the strength of women. that do not agree with feminism. There's a reason why, well, roughly 20% of all Western women support feminism. That means 80% of them do not. But they can't be right according to Gloria Steinem, who has a big problem with any god unless that god is feminism. And this is the feminism you follow. These are the people you share yourself amongst. Are you not sure yet why so many people have a problem with you when you claim you are a feminist? The last person I'm going to use in this small movie is going to be Amy Vowels. If you have never heard of her, then I can't blame you. It's not a big name, or at least it wasn't to me either. But why am I going to use her in this movie as well? Because this is showing what some feminists think equality means. If equality means sending my daughters to war, I want no part of it. Remember that voting right USA women have? Men have it too. But men, for that voting right, can be drafted, and women couldn't or can't. Now, Amy Vowell has written a whole article on why draft for the army is unfair to women, and how she feels that, well, it's perfectly all right if your kid is a boy, but it's not when it's a girl. This is what feminism, according to Amy Vowels, is all about. It's about being able to do the same, but when it gets dangerous, women do not need to have to do it. The attitude that she has in this article is the same attitude that most feminists have when they talk about how they want to have workplace equality. And with that, they mean they want to have cushy jobs. They want to have office jobs, preferably with air conditioning that is not set at 22 degrees Celsius because that's sexist. Yes, I have a link to that as well. It will be in the bottom, don't worry about it. But this is the problem. You scream as feminists for equality, and you scream when you are given equality. You only want equality where it suits you. I cannot remember the last time I wrote an article of a feminist complaining about the maleness of sewage workers and that more women should be allowed into sewage working, or that more women should be allowed to become miners, or that more women should be allowed to become sanitation workers. This does not happen. But I do see a lot of women talking about how more CEOs need to be women, how more teachers need to be women, even though most teachers already are women. This is a problem why boys and young men are going less and less into higher education, because they do not recognize themselves with what they got. But all these things don't matter. Women are all about equality. Sorry, my bad. Feminism is all about equality, but only the equality that suits. Because we do not want equality there where it might be dangerous. Women on the battlefield? Nah, they might die. You know, the thing is, you're right, they might die. But how is this not true for men on the battlefield? Either you want equality, fair enough, or either you don't care about equality, also fair enough. You can't have it both ways. Amy Vowels, You cannot have it both ways. Is it unfair for women to die at war? No more or no less than it is for men. Anyway, I gave you a few examples on why men and women are against feminism. You do not have to believe me. I will have put the links to every piece of evidence I've used in the movie downstairs. And if you have 5 minutes to Google, you will find more evidence. This is why people do not like to speak about how they are feminist. Because feminism itself is a vile, segregatory, hate-filled movement. And I understand that there are plenty of feminists out there that will say, yeah, but no, feminism is about equality of men and women. To that I can only say, you know what? I'm willing to believe that that's what you want feminism to be. And I'm totally willing to believe that you want equality between men and women. Unfortunately, at this point in time in the Western world, there are more laws protecting women than there are protecting men. And this is something that has been true for roughly the last 150, almost 200 years. So how come we still keep thinking that women are the oppressed class? They're not a class. Okay, let's call them the oppressed gender, and men are the oppressive gender. Well, that's quite simple. We think that because feminism. Feminism has been pushing that narrative for at least 150 years. They have been segregatory from the very get-go. They have been filling the heads of people with hatred towards men. This has always been the case. If you look back into feminism, you will find that this is the case. I'm not even blaming feminists, because in all fairness, these feminists did this. They had help from certain men, especially in the beginning. They must have had. I mean, men were the only one with the power to vote. So how come women were given the right to vote? The only way to do that is if men agreed. So there must have been men standing at the beck and call of women, which, well, is a problem. Not so much that women got a right to vote. I mean, whether you agree with that or not doesn't make a difference to me. I mean, you can vote or you cannot vote. I don't care. I don't really think democracy is showing that great a value in our society, especially considering that we don't really have a democracy. I mean, we think we have a democracy, but that's a story for another time. The thing I'm really wanting to focus on is why feminists keep claiming feminism is about equality when everything that feminism has done is not. Anyway, as usual, I look forward to your criticisms, your commands, not your commands, your comments, your comments. My bad. And let me know what you think. Please like, share, and subscribe if you feel inclined to. If you dislike it, also good. Let me know why though, because I mean, I don't like you could be an argument, but it's not a useful one. So if you have information that might make me change my mind, I'm more than willing to listen to it. And if you feel that I have not given you all the information I promised or suggested I would, please let me know and I will give you more information. And to be very, very, very clear, I identify myself as an egalitarian. Well, actually, no, I don't. I have a name and a person. But my thoughts are egalitarian. This is why I am so much against feminism. This is why I'm so much against any movement that at heart is segregatory. even if they might have had the best intentions of the world, because the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Anyway, so for my rant, if you have any questions, I do look forward to them. Drop them down below and I will respond. Thank you for your time and have a very nice day.